I think the best marketers are manipulators. I'm a manipulator. Most people watching this episode are never going to win at LinkedIn or life.
What does it take to win?
I think it takes people that burn out are trying to be something that they're not, and they're just not tough enough. So they should accept that they're weak and they don't have what it takes, and then they wouldn't burn out. 70% of client content is AI.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah. I'm basically AI.
You say you're never happy, never satisfied. Is that true?
Yes. I'm 39, I'm running from my past. I would go 4 to 5 days without sleeping. I'd struggle to sleep 2 hours a night. And this was every week for a long time. Honestly, I felt way more job satisfaction doing construction or being in ministry work that I did than ghostwriting.
Question number 1. Are you in a pod, a LinkedIn engagement pod?
So
I want some practical tips here. Getting serious for a second.
Okay.
Put that hat on.
If you're starting new on LinkedIn in 2024, you're going to have to work twice as hard as if it was 2023. Nobody wants to hear that you're a fucking loser and you're never going to win.
Would you say you are confident or delusional? I'm going to say something nice now.
It's too late. Fuck you.
Fuck you. Hello, Luke Matthews.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on to Rebels.
I am very, very excited to be here.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure about that? Because I heard that you said you fucking hate podcasts and you see no value in them.
Well, I just thought I'd lie to start off the show, get it out of the way, set the bar very low. But yes, I see no value in this podcast. I'm not actually sure why I'm here.
Neither am I, to be honest. Shall we leave?
I think we could cut it right now.
Yeah, we're done?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
cut it there.
You got your clip, right?
No, but seriously, I've wanted you on the podcast for a while, so thank you so much for coming in.
Did you actually, though, or did someone
No,
put you up?
no, Lara and Matt Barker told me to say that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm leaving now.
No, seriously, I think you bring a lot of interesting things to the world of LinkedIn, personal branding, entrepreneurship, and you have a lot of strong opinions, which I'm very excited to get stuck into, because some of them I agree with, some of them I don't. So we can get into some of that, I think.
Great. Well, I hope we focus on the ones you don't.
Is this your first podcast ever, or
First in-person podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Love it. Okay, let's rewind a little. So people who don't know who you are, just basically describe who's Luke Matthews, what do you do, and then we'll kind of pivot.
Awesome. So I am a LinkedIn ghostwriter. Like, most of the people that do these kind of shows, we're on LinkedIn, we're writing stuff for clients. And so that's what I'm doing. I've done it since 2020. So I'm one of the OGs. I've done it for 4 years. And before that, I was on Instagram for 3 years. So I was actually a micro influencer in sustainable fashion. So that's how I got into social media, started doing the pictures and the videos on Instagram, realized that I actually wasn't very good in the pictures, wasn't very good at the videos, and I was much better at writing stuff. So when I figured that out, I pivoted to LinkedIn and Twitter, which is more copy focused, and I've done that for the last 4 years.
And how's that going?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I did lose to Matt Barker in the race to 100,000 followers, so all these young Gen Z types like yourself are passing me. I'm trying to keep up. So, yeah, it's going
bullshit. You're smashing it. But we'll get into some of the LinkedIn stuff later on, because I feel like there's a lot of value that you can share. But also I think we can, both of us together, have a really good, productive discussion about some of the stuff that we're seeing at the moment.
Well, let's hope it's productive.
Yeah. Let's go back a little bit, though, because I think a lot of people know you, for being a LinkedIn ghostwriter and all the stuff you do on LinkedIn, but not a lot of people know your story or who you are or your background or the things you did before. I think it'd be really interesting to get into some of that stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, what was kind of growing up like, childhood? Go back as far as you want, and we'll kind of work back to present day.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna start at 11 years old. So I was homeschooled. So back when it was weird, I actually did virtual school way back in 1999. When everyone went to public school and it was weird to be one of those homeschool types. So back when the computers were the big like desktops and you had to carry them in boxes, like that's what I did for high school. So I did remote school then, and I basically worked. So my mom was an entrepreneur and always has been. So she was a hairdresser, did multiple businesses, and we actually started a landscaping business together. So I co-founded it with her. So at 11 years old, basically I worked during the day as a landscaper. So in Canada, it's not as like frowned upon as in the UK. I feel like in the UK, in the trades, it's like, oh, you work in the trades. It's kind of like it's looked down upon.
It's a stigma, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. But in Canada, it's like if you work in the trades and run your own business, you can be very successful and do pretty well for yourself. So that's where I started. Did school, did entrepreneurship, and learned from my mom. And that basically inspired me to realize that I never wanted to work for anybody else. So I did that all during my teen years. Transitioned into construction. So not a lot of people know I actually did construction for a couple decades before social media. So it's why I think I have the, hey, I've been banned 7 times. I run my mouth. I say what I want. Because in construction, when you're working on the job site, it's a brutal environment, man. Like it's way different than social, than especially LinkedIn of all places. You got people cussing at you and telling you to fucking get to work, and you're showing up in -20 in Canada with your gear on. And so, I think I learned there how to show up every day, put the work in, and brought that to LinkedIn and social. So that's kind of where I started.
That's so different. It's so interesting as well, because it's not like a journey typically that you see on social media, entrepreneurship, LinkedIn.
No, in fact, there's not a lot of people that can relate to that side. Like when I've posted about construction, or even sports, like crickets. No one gives a fuck. They want to know the gossip, the juice, the the trendy, like edgy takes. No one cares about sports or construction on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Even on Instagram, same thing. Like just no one cares about that world.
What did that teach you? What did that give you, that experience? I'm sure there's certain things you've taken away from it that you use today. Is there anything?
Yeah, there's a few things. I think the biggest thing is just the grit. Like it's just an environment that not a lot of people can cut it in construction. Like it's early days, it's cold. The weather's not nice. The people are really mean. If you don't put in the work, you don't get paid. If you don't show up, nothing gets done. So I think just the environment made me tough. And like nowadays, especially like on LinkedIn, it's much more the whole inclusivity culture, and everyone's kind to each other, and we're all encouraging each other on our posts. And construction wasn't like that. You show up and you get yelled at for 2 years before you get any respect. So I think I learned how to show up and get yelled at. And same thing on LinkedIn. I can show up, and I love trolls. So, it's the beauty of social media. It doesn't bother me because of that environment, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that was kind of partly the reason why you went out of kind of working for other people and setting up your own thing, and that whole like lifestyle change, becoming a ghostwriter. Why is that important to you, and what do you aspire to have, like in terms of lifestyle?
Well, I think so. My goal was to always do construction half the year and then go live wherever I wanted the other half. Like that's as far as my mind could go.
Yeah.
So I'm not much of a dreamer, man. Like I'm very much like I'm in the moment, and even like right now, I don't know where I'm gonna be in a week. And it's been that way the last couple of years. So like that's my life. Like if I know where I'm going to be a week from now, I get anxiety. So it's the same thing with that. It's just like I was very in the moment, and it's a strength and a weakness. But that's what I learned to do. So.
What was the trigger? What was the trigger for you to join LinkedIn and start this? How did that happen?
So the trigger from construction to Instagram was essentially I realized that I wasn't going to be able to do the work for 6 months and then go 6 months somewhere, because it just wasn't making enough income essentially in construction. And like the demands are too big when you're working for yourself and running a company. You can't just leave for 6 months of the year. So it really was more like 2 months of the year in Canada, because it snows, right? So you can't work for 2 months. Just realized it wasn't going to work. And I got tired of the people. They're just, you get tired of people yelling at you and telling you you're doing a bad job and telling you to fuck off every day. And I was like, I'd rather work with better people. So that was really the trigger. And I did the typical, like I tried crypto, tried poker, did all the like, I even did coding school for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So I tried to become a coder, and I realized I was angry at the end of every single day, because I like the way my brain works. Like I try and solve every problem by the end of the day. And if I can't, it just triggers me. So I was basically triggered every evening and realized like I can't do coding. So I just tried a bunch of things and ended up taking a course at a university. I'm not educated, so didn't go get a good degree or anything like that. I went and traveled instead. But decided, hey, I want to learn about the world. So I took a global developments course at a university. And there was a documentary in the course called The True Cost, which is about the fashion industry, basically how it's the second most polluting industry in the world. And it just triggered me. I was like, oh, this is interesting. The part that really triggered me was the fact that like the shirts that we wear and the clothes that we wear. They only cost $4 or $5, and they're paying these artisans like 2 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents an hour in other parts of the world, and it just bothered me. And so I started diving into it and researching it, and realized like, oh, I'm going to try and do something about this. And so that kind of launched an Instagram blog that me and my now ex started. And basically it was right at the beginning wave of all the influencer stuff on Instagram. And so we just spent $3,000 worth of our own money, bought clothes from these brands, took pictures, posted it on Instagram, and it just took off. And they started messaging us, hey, can you take a picture of our brand and post it, and we'll send you more clothes. And we're like, oh, this is cool. And so just started doing that, and then started getting paid from it, and it just kind of took off. So
yeah, it sounds like quite spontaneous.
Very much so. It was not planned. It was like, of all the side hustles I tried, this one was just like, yeah, let's just do this. No plan. It just worked. So maybe there's something to that.
What was the secret? Why do you think it worked? What did you do differently?
I think it was timing, and somewhat of luck. I think it was maybe like I stopped trying because I tried so hard with poker, with coding, with all the other kind of side hustles, and just kind of went like, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to go back to construction and give up for a bit. And I think maybe the vibes from that of just letting go allowed the space for something to come in and be more like naturally inspired and moved by it, because that's what happened. It was just a documentary that I watched. I was like, wow, this just moved me. So I think it was just that kind of luck of the timing, and then being actually moved to act was the difference.
You talk about hustle culture a lot, and the hustle, and I see it through your content and the kind of hard work. Like, if you want to do shit, do shit. If you want to achieve shit, do shit. Talk to me about that. You see, I feel like there's a lot to say here.
There's so much to say. But I mean, I've already said it all. So do you really want to talk about it? Do you really want to hear this?
Yeah, I do.
Do you really want to hear that you should work harder, Shoaib?
I work hard.
Do you?
No, I don't.
You went on holiday last week, didn't you?
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Back to me.
Moving
I'm the guest.
You're the guest. I'm the host. Answer my question.
Okay, sorry. I'd love to take your job. It's just a nice studio.
If somebody was starting out on LinkedIn, social media platform, right?
Yes.
And they wanted to quit a job, a shitty job. They hate their boss. They're not enjoying life. They want more control. What do they need to do? What's the secret to success? Because you seem to have done it multiple times and then kind of jumped between things.
Yes.
What kind of one piece of advice would you give to that person who's listening to this podcast thinking, I fucking hate my life. I want autonomy. I want control.
Well, I'll tell you what it took for me. So it was in 2016 when the Instagram business started.
Yeah.
Essentially, I was working 10 plus hours a day, Monday to Saturday. So what's that? 60 hours in my day job, paying for life. And basically, I would get home, eat, and then I'd work another 4 or 5 hours Monday through Sunday to get it done. On Sunday, I worked all day. So do the math. That's probably over 100 hours a week. And it took me 3.5 years, basically, to quit the Instagram. Not Instagram. To quit construction and get into Instagram. So I think most people quit too soon. They look at this and they go like, oh, I see Luke succeeding on LinkedIn or Instagram, or see your business. Like, oh, it's just going to be easy to get into. And it might be easier in some ways, I think, now, because there's more people that have done it. Whereas back then, I don't think it was as common on social to see the stories and be inspired by it. Whereas now you see them all over the place. So maybe the inspiration is more available and more inspiring. But the work, it takes more work.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because a lot of stuff that I see online, especially from bigger entrepreneurs, we're talking like entrepreneurs who have been around 20, 30 years and release courses and books on entrepreneurship now. A lot of the narrative is around like work-life balance and boundaries and mental health and taking care of yourself. And it paints quite a false image of what entrepreneurship is and what it requires, and so many people kind of turn that way to entrepreneurship thinking this will be easy. It paints quite a nice picture, and it kind of erases all the shit that you have to go through. Have you felt that? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, I mean, we see it on our feed all the time, don't we? From familiar faces that,
Do you want to name anybody?
Man, we've got a few we'll see how much we loosen up in a little bit.
Okay.
But you see it everywhere, right? Yeah. Especially when someone's reached like a certain point, whether it's 6 figures or a certain number of clients, their narrative changes, their messaging changes. Something I'm proud of, my messaging hasn't changed since day one I joined LinkedIn. I say the same shit. Just show up, work every day more than anybody else, do it for a long time, and you'll win. Most people don't do that. You know, they might show up and work for a year and succeed, and then their messaging changes 2 years, 3 years. Most people tap out. Most people give up, or they get satisfied, or they hit a certain limit and they stop. You know, and you can't do that in entrepreneurship. We know this. Like even AI this year, in the last year, it's completely changed everything that we do. And if you got satisfied with what you did, well, you just stop growing. You stop learning, and you lose. So I think most people need to work harder. Everyone listening to this needs to work harder. If you want to quit your job, you're not working hard enough, most likely. And we don't hear that, right?
No, we don't.
At all, especially in your generation.
Yeah.
I'm sounding old now. I am old.
You are old, yeah.
Yeah, I'm an old man. You know, but like, that's what you do when you get old. You fucking don't work hard enough. And back in my day, I worked, walked 6 miles in the snow, which I did.
We'll talk. You mentioned AI. I would definitely want to get back to that topic because I feel like there's a lot of interesting stuff, and I personally am just really interested in how you're using AI and how I can learn to use AI better for my business. But I want to kind of stay on the topic of LinkedIn and the growth that you've experienced, because you talk about putting in the hours, you talk about kind of the hustle, but how have you grown so fast? So you've gone to 116,000 LinkedIn followers, right?
400 as well.
Okay. Yeah. Don't forget those 400. Yes. Very important.
They're very important people.
They are.
I love
very
all
important.
of them very much.
You also get an insane engagement rate, like so many comments on your content. How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I didn't grow very fast. If you actually look at the context of people that have 100,000 followers, I'm probably one of the slowest to get there.
Right.
Now, like, depends who you compare yourself to.
Yeah.
So I'm comparing myself to, people in my space. They all grew faster than me that are over 100K. So my journey was actually very slow in comparison.
What's the time frame? How long did it actually
take? It took me 4 years.
Okay.
So I joined 2020. I think I hit 100K this year. So 4 years later. So when you actually look at it, that's only 25K a year.
Yeah.
Really, 2K a month, a little over that. Not that fast. It's just more like the longevity factor that I just showed up early, kept going, kept posting, and figured it out eventually. But I think for me, that was just the secret. There was no like hack or anything. It was just I didn't quit.
Consistent.
Although I did quit, but like not for long.
You also got banned a few times.
7 times. Sorry.
7 times.
7
You're on your
times.
last warning.
Yes.
So,
I hope I've learned my lesson now.
Yeah. Don't say anything that's going to incriminate you.
I won't fucking say anything. I promise.
Why do you keep getting banned? What are you doing?
Okay.
Why are you
want to hear all of them?
Yeah, I want to hear every single.
I remember 4 of them. So we'll start with 4. So the last one, we brought him up already. It's my favorite guy, Matt Barker. I said he was unpleasant to look at. That's it. I got banned for that.
He's quite an attractive guy.
I know. It's not even true. I lied.
Yeah. And
he's a good-looking man.
What happened? Did LinkedIn give you like a notification saying you've been restricted?
So my theory is, because I actually talked to like the case manager.
Okay.
Because when you get banned, for those that don't know, you go like, oh crap, I can't log into my account. I'm going to lose all my money. My business is done. And then you settle down and you send an email. And, most of the time, like, hey, don't worry about it. You'll get it back. I waited 3 days, didn't get it back. So then I followed up and eventually you talk to somebody. And my theory is that this person just had a crush on Matt Barker and they hate me for saying that he wasn't unpleasant to look at.
I mean, that's one interesting way of looking at that.
So that's my theory. They just hate me.
Okay, right. So
and I'm right, by
the other times we only got banned, what were the reasons? Are you just trolling people?
Okay, so
is that your brand?
The time before, I did deserve to get banned.
Okay.
I did. Do you want to hear what I said?
Of course I do.
So there was this elderly, and by elderly I mean only 6 years older than me, but I'm old. He was a 45 to 50-year-old man.
Okay.
Balding. And I said he had a small penis.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got banned. The thing is,
okay.
he had those vibes.
Like, I thought you were going to say he had a small penis.
No,
I've seen it.
No, I didn't see it.
Whew.
No, he didn't send me that.
That's a very different podcast.
Although I've been sent some interesting pictures in DMs on LinkedIn. But no, he did not send me a dick pic.
Okay,
we'll get that out of the way.
Okay, cool.
But he'd been trolling me for over a year.
Right.
Every single post. And it was like the kind of trolling where it's just passive aggressive. And I just lost it. Like I couldn't hold it in. I'm like, you have a fucking small dick. And I knew I'd get banned and I didn't care. I just had to say it. And he reported it. And so then I DM'd him like, bro, come on. Like, you've been trolling me for a year. Couldn't you roll with this? And then I blocked him. Because, I mean, if you can't hear you have a small dick and take it like a man, then you got to get blocked. So
Right.
So that was the second one I remember.
Okay.
The other two were COVID related. I don't know if we can do that because YouTube and LinkedIn and algorithms, but basically I have a big mouth and, I shared my experience.
Yeah.
And I got banned within 30 minutes.
Cool.
Had a bunch of angry DMs.
For any listeners, avoid everything that Luke does.
Now,
not everything, but some stuff that he's done.
I will say this is like, I'm the kind of person, I change drastically every 6 months.
Yeah.
And I know everyone says that, but I actually do.
In what way?
Like, for example, in 6 months, I think I could become a Buddhist. Right now, I'm agnostic. I used to be a hardcore Christian.
Okay.
I've got lots of past lives. It happens when you're 39. You either get very boring. You know what I mean?
Quite old.
I'm very old. You either get so boring and you're the same person for 20 years, or you have to go, I need multiple midlife crises. So I'm on my third one.
Third one. Okay. Let me just rewind to something that you said. You're hardcore Christian. What did that entail?
Do you actually want to know?
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah, okay. So I went to this place in Northern California.
Yeah.
It's a little town called Redding.
Right.
The church is Bethel Church. And essentially it's a charismatic kind of sect within Christianity.
Okay.
Where they believe that it's called the gifts of the Spirit. So in the Bible, Jesus used to allegedly do miracles. He walked on water, turned water into wine, these kind of things. So at this church, they still believe those things can happen.
Right.
And I really believed that they could happen.
Okay.
So I was actually out preaching the Bible on subways. I was praying for people to be raised from the dead. I would see someone with a broken arm and I'd go up and say, hey, can I pray for you? Because I think I can heal you. These kind of things. So that's the like extreme sect. I went on like Bible trips to foreign countries and preached in various places. And so I was hardcore. I was all out for most of my early 20s.
Mm-hmm. And now you are, where do you sit on the...
So now I'm agnostic. Okay. So I don't believe anymore. It ran its course. I think when you're like that kind of obsessive personality that has multiple lives, you run its course. And you either go like, yes, this is for me, I'm going to see it out, or no, it's not for me anymore, I'm going to move on. And for me, I just realized that it wasn't for me. It wasn't that. And I actually miss it though. Like I miss that kind of like meaning in my life. I had so much meaning at that time. Like I actually believed when I went out, like I have the truth and you need to hear it. And so my mission every single day, everything that I did, everyone I talked to was, you need to know God and I can show him to you by the way that I act and what I do and what I say. And I don't have that anymore. Like LinkedIn ghostwriting is like, whatever, man. I'm just fucking making money. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Swinging a hammer and working in construction, it doesn't matter. I'm just paying the bills. Even like daily interactions. Does it really matter?
What's your mission today then? What's your purpose?
I have no purpose, man. That's the problem. That's what happens when you're 39 and you're a LinkedIn ghostwriter. You're still hanging out with Gen Z kids. What the fuck am I doing here? I should be doing something bigger with my life. But I think I'm still figuring it out, to be honest. Like I'm just building the business. I have big goals for the business and what I want to do in like relation to that. But I think like philosophically, I'm not sure. I'm still figuring it out. That's why I say I could be a Buddhist in 6 months. Maybe I'll just move to Tibet and go hide in a cave and get banned, and then I don't have to deal with my business.
That would be good.
Yeah, that'd be good for you.
I'll come with you.
You'll come with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you religious?
No.
Okay.
But I can adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just think, you alone in a cave for 6 months. Imagine what could happen.
I would go insane.
Would you?
Yeah.
I used to pray 5 hours a day.
5 hours?
Yeah. This is why I can do the LinkedIn for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Think of just LinkedIn, at least you're interacting with other people, social media, like you get to chat and have fun and do the bants. Praying for 5 hours a day, you're literally just sitting here, meditating, thinking about things, and it's not fun.
8 hours a day on LinkedIn, you just said. That's a long time.
You don't spend 8 hours a day on LinkedIn?
No.
Fuck.
Definitely.
I don't know why I'm here then. You don't hustle hard enough.
No, I clearly fucking not have a life.
I don't have a life. So.
Okay.
This is what it takes.
Let's go back though, on a serious note for a second.
I don't know if I can do that.
You're going to have to try, otherwise I'm kicking you off this podcast.
All right, fine.
So you have a very successful ghostwriting agency, right? You're very good at what you do, and you're probably going to downplay that now, but there's a lot of people who follow you because you give a lot of good advice and a lot of your content. I mean, just
really?
30% of it is good. 30%. 29 maybe.
Is it because of that you give advice? I share selfies. I mean,
no, genuinely. I think a lot of your advice is how to grow, how to write content, and a lot of it's quite interesting. So try to bring some of that on the pod, please. That would be good.
I thought we weren't talking about ghostwriting though. Shoaib. I thought no one wanted to hear about that.
No, loads of people do,
Okay,
and you know they do.
right.
Right. So let's give some tips, some actionable value to people.
All right.
Right. So, firstly, let's rewind. Why should people be on LinkedIn? What are the benefits that your clients get from being on LinkedIn?
My clients. So I work primarily with AI people now.
Yeah.
So AI startups, founders, or newsletters. So for them, it's easy. I mean, LinkedIn loves AI. They're pushing AI. So anyone in AI should be on LinkedIn. If you're not in AI, don't bother. Just quit. Go somewhere else. Go to YouTube. No, I'm just kidding. LinkedIn is the easiest platform right now, I think, to build on. The reason being, like all the major, they call it the major platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, there's more competition. Most great creators aren't on LinkedIn. So if you want to show up and get organic reach and exposure for your business, the competition, I think, is the easiest on LinkedIn. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, most people are on LinkedIn for business. They're not here to hang out. There's no vibes like Twitter. People aren't here to yell about politics or whatever in a Twitter space. That they're showing up for business to get business. And I think we forget that when we're on LinkedIn. Like I remember it when I go in spaces or I go on Instagram. Like people are just there to to hang out.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? This is a waste of my time. Whereas LinkedIn, almost everybody there is there for business. So I think anyone that wants to budget, like say I've got a half an hour a day or 60 minutes a day, or I want to post somewhere, LinkedIn should be their choice because you get the most ROI from people that show up for business. I think those two reasons are enough. You don't really need more than that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. In terms of the practicalities of actually doing that, showing up, creating content, building brand, what advice have you got for us?
I mean, great question. First of all, you should follow me and take all the advice that I share, every single post.
I object. I object. Not everyone.
Except for like yesterday's post. Don't follow that. No, but seriously, like follow me. Learn from me.
Is that it?
That's all I want. That's all I want to share.
By the time this podcast goes out, you could be banned. We don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. No, but seriously, I think it's fairly easy to start on LinkedIn. The best thing to do is to show up. You don't even need to post. You really just need to find people to start connecting with and networking with. So depending on your space, if that's real estate, if that's AI, if that's construction, very simple. You just open the search bar, type in a keyword from your space. People will show up, click on them. If they look cool, start talking to them. See if they've posted something, leave a comment, and do that repeatedly. On a podcast, that's probably the easiest way I could tell someone to get started. From there, there's obviously a lot to creating content, formatting your posts, and strategies for that. But I think for most people, they just need to talk to more humans on LinkedIn or on an Instagram and start there. And once you start talking to people, you start seeing posts and content that you like. You see the way that it's organized. Is it an image? Is it a video? Is it a PDF? And you start noticing like, oh, I'd like to be like that person. And that's how I kind of learned. I just showed up and I went, I just want to run my mouth and say what I want, because on Instagram, which is what I did previously, I couldn't do that. It was much more professional because every post was basically sponsored. So I didn't share any of myself on Instagram. So on LinkedIn, it was different. I just want to hang out, see what it's about. And I just started finding people that were speaking their mind and I started learning from them.
Do you ever feel like you've overshared?
Oh, yes. Yeah? Especially last year. Yeah, it wasn't the best year for me. So I shared a lot. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That's my pause to let you go.
Okay.
What did you share, Luke?
Noted. Do you want to talk about it?
I mean, we don't have to.
Let's talk
if
about
it makes you uncomfortable.
I'm checking if it makes you uncomfortable.
You look a little uncomfortable.
You're the guest.
Okay.
I'm chilling. I'm breezy.
How come your hands are going?
Coffee.
Oh, okay. we can talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
What would you like to know?
What do you feel like you overshared?
Well, I was essentially drunk for 6 months.
Okay.
So you can imagine writing posts while being drunk, doing client calls while being drunk, deciding which images to share while being intoxicated. You probably don't make the best decisions. So I put a lot of questionable content out on LinkedIn. Yeah. For example, I did one post where I talked about how I write naked, and I shared a selfie where it was above, not to get banned, so like appropriate, but like above my nipples. And people saw that, and I posted it. And the problem Shoaib, is that I would get leads from these posts. So like if you post this kind of content and it doesn't convert, you'd realize really fast, like, oh, you shouldn't do that, right? No one likes it, no conversions. The problem for me is I convert from that kind of content. I would convert on calls where I was drunk. I would write posts about my camper van adventures because I bought a camper van and went all over the UK. Had a really hideous beard, had whiskey bottles in the pictures, and I'd still convert clients from it. So the problem is like, well, if I'm converting, then whatever, just keep doing it.
How many clients do you work with now?
Currently 9.
AI specifically, or is there a bit of
7 of them are AI.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Do you use AI in your content? And if so, what's the percentage, would you say, that AI supports your ghostwriting?
So lately it's increased.
Okay.
I've been using AI since February. Haven't really talked about it until the last month. So I would say 70% of client content is AI. Now that can be, some are like wholly written with AI. Some are like sourced with AI. So like ideating the content. So coming up with like the listicles, the links and things like that. But 70%.
That's a lot. That's quite a lot.
Yeah. I'm basically AI.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I want some practical tips here, right? So again, we're getting serious for a second.
Okay.
Put that hat on. If say I'm somebody who's never ever used AI, right? Where do I start? What is kind of accessible to somebody who's hasn't studied AI, hasn't kind of looked at other creators, isn't well versed in the AI world, but knows the advantages to it? Like on a practical level, where should I start?
It's a great question. So I wouldn't start with ChatGPT, even though those posts are the ones that pop off on LinkedIn. If you put that in your headline, you'll get more reach. If you post about it, you get more reach. But most people starting out should not start with ChatGPT. There's 2 tools that I would recommend using. One is Bing Chat, really easy to use, very simple process. Basically, it's a browser that you need to use. So Microsoft Bing, you go in, it's with Edge, Microsoft Edge, Bing's inside of it. Really simple to use. Like it's on the top right part. If someone's logging in right now to use it, top right, you click on it, and you don't even need to know prompting. You just start talking to it, and it analyzes the page that you're on. So essentially, if there's a creator that you like, say on Twitter or LinkedIn, you just want that page live on your browser, click on this, and then you can basically generate posts based off of that content. So a really easy place to start, super easy. The other tool I use a lot is Supergrow AI. Very simple. It helps you with formatting. So if you're someone just starting out on LinkedIn or an AI, you're not very good at formatting, this tool essentially has like 30 different options for like different formats for your posts. And you can either prompt it, or you can take an existing post that you've written and basically copy paste it in and then select kind of a template and it'll format it for you. So those 2 are the easiest that I would recommend using. If you want to get deeper, you got to use ChatGPT and Perplexity and some of these other tools. But most people are never going to put that time in. Like they'll read my post, or Ruben has said, he also talks about AI. They'll read a post, go, wow, this is so cool, and then they'll try it for 5 minutes and they'll never do it.
Yeah. How much of so say you're using AI to write a post? How much editing then do you need to do to kind of make it shareable?
Well, that's the key. I said 70%, so 30%, sometimes it's 40, 60, 70. You need to be a really good editor. So like the reason I can use AI at scale so much, I'm a really good editor. I've written thousands and thousands and thousands of posts. I used to write 200 to 300 posts a weekend for years. So I've written so much content that basically the AI gives me a generated post and I can just quickly go through, edit it, and nobody would ever know. In fact, they don't, because I've been doing this for 3 months. And the first time I posted about it, everyone got upset. I was like, what do you mean you use AI in your content? I love your stories. Like, yeah, it's AI. But like when you're a good editor, you can hide it. And that's the problem, is most people don't do that 30%, or they're not a good editor. So they miss the exclamation marks or certain things where you can tell that it's AI. So you need to be a good editor, and it's hard to kind of become a good editor. Like you just need experience writing to become that, which is why most people suck at AI, because they can't edit. So it's 2 skills that you need.
So you use AI in the writing side. In terms of the wider business, do you use AI in other areas, systems, ops, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so all my automation, I onboard with AI. So essentially, as soon as someone agrees to work with me, I have a whole trigger system set up to basically invoice them, collect their information, all their media files and logos, and their ICP, and the target audience they want to reach, the hobbies that they have. So like basically, as soon as I hit go, this automation starts, and I collect all the information from them right up until booking a call. So,
so
really great.
You click the automation starts, you collect all the information.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So I use Airtable.
Okay.
So essentially like Airtable, Trello, there's these like content management systems. Yeah. So essentially I have 5 different forms, and basically in ghostwriting, you want as much information, you know this, but I'll just tell the audience, you want as much information from the client as possible. So the automation basically asks them a series of questions for them to fill out via email, and then it gets automatically put into Airtable for me, and it's organized and everything. So it's really nice for my writers because basically they can log in, and then you have all these questions about the person and who they're targeting, what country they're targeting, where they're from, if they've been featured in Forbes or any magazines or things like that. And so basically it's just collecting as much information about them and their business as possible without me having to do anything, because I just don't like talking to them. Basically, I've set up my business so I don't have to talk to my clients. And if they're watching right now, I don't want to talk to you. And you know this, that's why you're my client. And that's the great part about AI, I think, is that if you know who you are and the kind of business you want to run, then you can utilize it to work for you. And that's what I've done, because I realized like I'm good at writing, I'm good at systems and doing this stuff. I'm not great at talking to people all the time. I'm not very patient. And so I just realized I didn't want to talk to my clients. So that's why I use AI.
Do you think AI will basically put personal branding agencies, ghostwriting agencies, essentially out of business in the long term?
No.
Why not?
Because people are lazy. Clients are lazy. The reason they come to us is because they're lazy. So they're not going to be able to utilize AI for themselves. Like, so even if we were replaced, it would be like an AI prompting service or like an AI content creation. It's going to be something that we would just pivot into because we're smart. Yeah. So no, it'll never be fully replaced. Maybe they'll hire someone internally, but again, that's bigger companies. The small companies are never going to be able to do that. So they're always going to need some version of us, I think. It might change like exactly how it looks, but no, I think most people are too afraid of AI, even in our space.
Yeah. LinkedIn as a platform is changing a lot as well at the moment, and they've introduced quite a lot of AI features. For 2024, what do you see LinkedIn looking like? What kind of changes do you expect on the platform? What should people be considering and thinking about if they are planning to grow on that platform and sustain that growth? Because it is getting, I don't know if you've noticed, but it is becoming a more competitive platform, and the reach and organic growth potential isn't the same. I don't know if you would you agree? Yeah,
I would agree 100%.
So what can people do to still achieve that growth when it's a lot harder?
It comes back to hustle, man. It comes back to hustle. Here's the thing. If you're starting new on LinkedIn in 2024, you're going to have to work twice as hard as if it was 2023, because there's already a bunch of great creators. The algorithm's not in your favor. It's going to be harder for you to grow. So you're going to need to put more time in. Now, I used to tell people you can grow in 35 minutes a day, like on LinkedIn. I think you need to put at least an hour and probably 2 hours a day to grow. I put in way more than that. So it depends on your goals, right? If you're wanting to do what we do and have inbound leads for your business, you got to put way more work in. So I think people have to know that it's not as easy as it used to be. There's still room for it because most people, again, are fucking lazy. So they're not going to do an hour a day or 2 hours a day. So there's room for people to come in and work. But essentially it starts there. I also think that LinkedIn will add the ability to prompt posts because they've added these silly AI features that you've seen. But I think they will add the ability to prompt a post, and they'll cut out a lot of competition from like AI tools.
Interesting. In terms of creating content, you have this quite a good balance, I'd say now, between valuable, actionable advice and then also provocative kind of content that gets people talking. Maybe teetering towards like semi-controversial. Are you aware of that? Are you purposefully sometimes provocative?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
Because I think the best marketers are manipulators, and I'm a manipulator. So essentially, we want a bunch of people to do something, right? Yeah. That's marketing. So that's manipulation. If I'm talking to you right now and I want you to do something, and I steer the conversation towards that, maybe it's dark, but I'm essentially manipulating you, right? So I think as an elite marketer, you're naturally charismatic, or you have the ability to get people to do something maybe they don't want to do, but you present your words and your information in a way that gets them to want to do it. And so, yeah, for sure, I'm provocative on purpose. I think I have to be careful now because I am on my last warning from LinkedIn, which sucks. So I can't be as provocative as before, and I'm a little more careful in it, right? So I think it takes me more skill than it did before. Before I could just go, okay, what's going to bug people? For example, I I am Native American, so I actually have a status card in Canada. And so I actually took a selfie of it, basically after I had a bunch of DMs from some angry feminists that hated a post that I did that was toxic, toxic man. And so I went, well, let me show them. So I just, I took a picture of it. Hey, I'm diverse. I've got a wide background. And it was like borderline, like, hey, you're walking the line here. And I got a bunch of angry DMs, but I had a plan because I had a bunch of reach from that post. And the next post was a lead gen post. So again, that's walking the line. I think when you're in marketing and you're willing to be edgy, sometimes you walk the line. Do you worry if you do get banned, kind of what will happen to your income streams, and how are you diversifying? Are you diversifying? So I creating on YouTube and Twitter, but I wouldn't call it diversification. Like I get some leads from that, but honestly, it's mostly still LinkedIn. And I think at one time I was saying you need to diversify. Like I was on 10 platforms. 10, at one point. Yeah, I know. It was like peak 2021. I was like, I hate LinkedIn so fucking much. And I just started over-diversifying. And it just didn't work, man. It was too much work to keep up. And I just went, I just have to accept it. So as far as the risks, not really. Again, going back to, I don't really plan further than a week ahead. So I'm very much, if I get banned, I'm just confident that I'll figure something else out. And I think if I created content or ran my business in a way that was like considering that, I would change too much. And I wouldn't be able to run it the way that I need to. So I just have to accept it.
Got you. Interesting, because I'm probably in a similar boat as well. Okay. I have not diversified at all. But I think we're more similar than I thought, in the sense that you said you don't have like a long-term plan. And I fucking hate when people ask me like, what's next? What are you doing next year? What are your goals? Where are you going to be in 3 years' time? Like, I don't know. Hopefully not doing a LinkedIn business, to be completely transparent. So how do you live life not knowing where you're going to be, where you're going to end up? Like, what's the secret to having that level of kind of freedom and liberation? Because a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people have to have a routine and know what they're doing, X, Y, Z.
It's a great question. I think it's just knowing your strengths, really. Like when you really know yourself. And I think, again, this comes with age. I'm just a seasoned veteran at 39, and I've lived so many lives and done so many incredible things that you learn.
You're not that old.
Okay, that's true. But I'm an old 39. You know what I mean?
Once you hit 40, then you're past it, clearly. But
that's true. I got 1 year left. But it is that. It is like life experience. It's just from having been in multiple careers and lived in multiple countries, I think you realize that I just got this. I've done it enough. I've lived long enough with like only a week ahead in mind that I just know I'll figure it out. If I lose my business, I'll figure it out. If my friends hate me and cut me from their life, I'll figure it out. If I offend someone, I'll figure it out. And I think it's just the confidence of knowing I got this, or I don't, but it's also fine. And I think not everyone's built that way. Like you have to know how you're built. And I'm just built, if I have a long-term plan in mind, I freak out. Okay. So I can't have that.
Would you say you are confident or delusional?
Man, great question. Probably both. Yeah.
Why delusional? What parts of you do you think make you delusional? I think it's a great thing, by the way. I've spoken about it on previous episodes.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh,
like I 100%
Who'd you speak about it with?
Delusional. We don't mention her name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those
Lara Costa. Of course
Harry Potter.
She's great.
She's okay.
She's good.
Yeah, not good at memes though. So.
Not as good as you, to be fair.
Who is?
Get back to the question.
Yes. What was the question?
Delusional.
Right.
Do you think everybody should be delusional?
No.
Why not?
Because everyone's not capable of that.
What makes you more capable than somebody else?
Because the thing is, if you're delusional, you have to accept the delusion. So like, think about it. Like most people are very comfortable with their lives. Like they don't want delusion. Like delusion's uncomfortable. It's like most people they want their nice job. They want the government to be there to pat them on the back. If they lose the job or they have the benefits, like they need that comfort, right? Or they need that person to comfort them. If you're delusional, like you're going to the extreme of everything. So you're like brainwashing yourself into thinking like, this is possible. I can do this, or I can be this person. And then you have to go do it. And that's way too much responsibility. So I think most people shouldn't be delusional, because then they'd have to be responsible for their delusions, and it would drive them insane. So
that's quite smart, actually.
Not bad. I mean, I just made it up on the fly. I just made it up right now.
One thing that you did that kind of maybe fits into that category of delusion is you kind of moved to another country abroad that you didn't speak the language, and just packed a bag and left.
Yep.
I love that, first of all.
Thank you.
Like, I think that's awesome. Tell me about that. Like, a lot of people love the digital nomad lifestyle based upon what they see online, but a lot of people maybe don't see the realities of it, or aren't actually willing to take the leap. So how have you found the whole experience of digital nomading?
It's a good question. So I think there's different kinds of digital nomading. We should probably clarify.
Yep.
So there's the Instagram digital nomad, which you see all the beautiful sights and scenes. And I've done that digital nomad. And that's hard because you're bouncing around from place to place. You're getting up at 5 a.m. to go take a picture with 1 million people around you to like look the part. It's very tiring. You can't do that forever. But what I do is actually I'm going to go live somewhere for 3 to 6 months and essentially live the same way that I lived here or in Canada. And it's not that glamorous. Like I told you, I work all day. So like in Paraguay, where I live now, I haven't explored any other city. I've barely explored the city that I'm in. Like I have this routine. I go get my coffee. I go for a walk. I come home. I work. I do it again. I eat steak. I go to sleep. So like it's not that exciting. You know, if I want to, I have the ability to go, hey, I want to go explore on a Saturday and I'll go do it for 3 hours. But I think for me, wherever I live, I just treat it the same. It's just that I get to say that I'm living somewhere. Whereas I think when most people think digital nomad, they want to fully explore the country like they're retired. And I'm not that rich yet, so I can't do it.
So what's the point then of going to those different countries if your routine looks very, very similar in all of them?
Well, now you're getting to the real heart of the matter. I'm just running from things. I mean, look at it. I'm 39. You know, I'm running from my past. So when you travel around, thing is when you get settled, right? You have to face your stuff. When you keep traveling, you get to avoid it. So you should try it.
I've been running for a long time.
Nice. I mean, I jest, but it's kind of true.
Yeah.
I think the nice part about traveling is you get something new all the time and it
Yeah.
inspires the creativity. So for business, if I keep bouncing around, but like not every week, so it's like every 3 months, I feel like a change of environment sparks my creativity. And I get so caught in like doing the mundane of business and I get so driven with what I do that my creativity starts to slip. And when I travel, I'm forced to adapt to my environment. You know, from Paraguay, like no, I don't speak Spanish. So everything I do is challenging. And so I either need to learn Spanish or I have to struggle to interact with people. And it forces me outside of my comfort zone. You know, I'd never been there before. I had to figure out where to live and where to buy food and how to read the food. You know, how to use delivery apps when I don't speak Spanish, all these kind of silly things, but it forced me out of my comfort zone. And I've just found that it's good for my creativity. It's good for my business when I'm pushing my comfort zone all the time. So it's creativity and comfort zone. I think that's why I would say do it. Even if your life looks the same, if you packed up and moved somewhere for 6 months and you just live the same way as you do in the UK, it would still benefit you because you're in a new environment and you're forcing yourself to adapt. And I think like as humans, especially entrepreneurs, if we stay the same and we're not adapting, we're not pushing ourselves, you get too comfortable and you slip and someone will kill you.
Nice.
Not like kill you, but like beat you, you know, like take you out.
Okay, so I can see the kind of lifestyle that you've built for yourself. What does a day look like? What does a realistic day, a weekday, a working day, what does that look like for you?
So it's very boring.
Okay.
So I get up early. Lately, I've been sleeping. So I actually have had sleeping issues for most of my life.
You haven't had insomnia, right?
Yes, chronic insomnia since I was a kid. And that was basically, I would go 4 to 5 days without sleeping. I'd struggle to sleep 2 hours a night. And this was every week for a long time. So I learned how to conserve energy and get stuff done. The last month, I've been sleeping great. So it's changed. Before that, I would get up at 3 a.m. After having slept a couple hours. I would work, go for a walk, buy a steak, eat it, go back and work, go work out, work some more, go to bed and do it again. So very boring. Like that's what I did for the last 4 months in Paraguay, essentially.
Steak. You get a lot of steak.
Yes.
Tell me about your diet.
Carnivore.
Why?
Well, again, another travel story. So I lived in Bali in 2018 and I got the Bali bug. Don't get that if you go to Bali. It's not pleasant. And I couldn't shake it. So essentially everything that I ate didn't sit well. And I tried a bunch of diets to see which one worked the best to fix it. I had to go on an elimination diet, which essentially was 6 months of not eating, just basically like a protein powder of sorts with water to try and kill this thing that I had in my stomach. Didn't work, had to do it twice, take 2 rounds of antibiotics, and basically it led me to the carnivore diet. And that's the only thing that worked, basically, that I could eat without pain and dealing with the pain from it. So I was like, well, this works. I may as well keep doing it. And that's what led me to it. And so now it's like I don't really want to risk diverting from it because it's worked for me.
Yeah. How important is fitness and health and well-being to you?
It is very important now because I think I dropped it for a long time. So growing up, I played sports. I played hockey and soccer, or football as you call it. And then as I got in my 30s, I just stopped playing sports, stopped working out as much, and then started sitting on the computer all day, and then started drinking. And so the last year, I've quit drinking and realized like I need something to get my aggression out. Again, also because of the bans on social media. It's like, well, working out helps with that, helps with the aggression, keeps me healthy, keeps me able to work on the internet. So win-win-win.
Don't you do like a crazy number of press-ups a day?
Yeah, 750. Now again, I had picked the wrong time to come on the podcast because I was doing 750 a day. Right. And then the last month I'm not because I'm sleeping. So I've realized that sleeping is actually bad for my business. It's bad for my fitness. Even though my trainer says it's good for me, I think it's bad for me. I need to not sleep again. Because I haven't done it.
First.
I've done like 50 push-ups today. So
I mean, that's 50 more than me, so.
It's not good enough still.
Okay, I've actually got some questions that I asked a few people.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I haven't asked you these, so you have no idea what's coming up.
Oh,
so brace yourself.
It's all from Matt Barker, isn't it?
None of them are from Matt Barker. Okay. Yeah, so we'll he's safe. So question number 1. Are you in a pod? A LinkedIn engagement pod?
Fuck.
And what do you think about people who use LinkedIn engagement pods? So just to give context for anyone who's listening, a LinkedIn engagement pod is essentially where a group of creators, typically with high number of followers and impressions, that kind of thing, essentially get together and agree to engage with each other's content to help skyrocket the impressions, visibility, that kind of thing.
It's crazy.
Sometimes it's like a paid element to it where people will pay to be in the pod, so essentially buying engagement. Are you in a pod, Luke Matthews?
Who asked the question?
I'm not saying.
No, I'm not in a pod.
What do you think about LinkedIn engagement pods? Because it is a lot more common now. Have you ever been asked to be in one?
I get asked every day.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a popular guy. I mean, people ask me for things, you know. They send me dick pics and ask for pods. So.
No, see, that what you've just said cannot go on LinkedIn because you will get banned.
So we shouldn't clip it. Shouldn't clip it and post it.
That bit we can't clip.
Okay.
But okay, on a serious note, do you think it's a good, bad engagement tactic? Why'd you say no?
Okay, so I'll actually give you some gossip here. So in 2020, again, early days LinkedIn, my best friend was in a pod. His name's Jonathan Palmer. He was the biggest video creator on LinkedIn, and he openly admitted it and talked about it. And so my deal was like, I liked that he was open about it, and LinkedIn didn't ban him. So I was like, well, he's open about it. Everyone knows that he's in a pod. It juices his posts. He grew way faster than me. He grew to like 250K, but I knew why he was growing faster. And I thought my content was better. So I was a little jealous. And he's also very jacked and a big guy. So, we were friends, and I was a little bit like the beta male, to be honest, in this situation. I'm not used to that. So it was very different for me. Back to the question. So I accepted that, hey, he said he was in a pod. Who cares? I don't care. As long as you're open about it. I think what bothers me is people that don't say what they're doing openly and they do it behind the scenes, especially if they're coaching and teaching people how to grow on LinkedIn. It's like it doesn't bother me if someone just does it for their business. Like I'll judge them, of course. I'm a very judgmental person. Like, well, yeah,
I noticed.
Yeah. I better say it, right? You noticed it. Everyone knows it. I'm judgmental. But it doesn't bother me like someone that's teaching LinkedIn and using a pod because it's really scamming people. So am I in a pod? No. But a couple people do know when I post beforehand, which to some people is like you're in a pod. So, am I in a pod? I don't think I am. Some people would say I'm in a pod. I do questionable things, though. I could get into that. But
Well, pause. I've got another question.
Okay.
So the next question is, who inspires you?
Who inspires me in life? Or
In life in general. Is there anyone you look up to?
No.
No?
No. I think... I have been asked this question before.
Yeah.
And I just really don't look up to anybody. I don't look up to myself. I don't look up to my dad. I don't look up to anybody.
Nice. We're all going to die one day. So, what does success look like to you?
What does success look like to me? So right now it would be finishing this podcast without getting banned.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Nice.
after that, it's making a lot of money. And then after that, I don't know. Not dying.
Not dying.
Yeah.
That's a good goal. That's a good life goal.
It's an important one.
Yeah, we're all going to fail at it, but
I know when I'm going to die, so
We
I'm
can
lucky.
you know when you're going to die?
I do.
When?
In my mid-80s in Bangladesh, I'm going to get mugged.
Don't talk about mugging. For context, I got mugged this weekend.
Oh, no, I've triggered you. I'm just trying to throw you off your game. This is,
No,
give
I'm
and
pretty
take.
chill. Next question. Okay. Oh, I've already asked that one. About your routine.
You just don't like the question, don't you?
No. Okay, so you often get into heated debates in comment sections on LinkedIn. First of all, actually, I'm just going to leave that there. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts? Like,
I love debating. I love
Yeah?
arguing. Yeah, I just really fucking love it.
you think?
Off on it.
Do you think, again, like purposefully doing this to
No,
help
just-
grow some engagement? And
So sometimes it's on purpose. Sometimes I'll be okay. Here's some gossip. Sometimes I have business pages
Yep.
that look like people, and I argue with myself, and it works.
I don't even know what to say to that. It's the first time I've actually been silent on my podcast.
But no, yeah. Sometimes it's on purpose. Like I'll deliberately go in and go. I'm going to trigger this person without going too far because it's going to spark engagement.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go in and go like, I just can't stand this person, and today I can't hold it in.
Yeah.
But lately I've been a lot better. Honestly, I've done way less lately because I'm too busy for most people. I'm very important. Yeah.
Nice.
And then sometimes it's just honestly I wake up and I don't go to the gym.
Yeah.
And lately when I don't go to the gym, I'm very argumentative. So I either argue with my friends in WhatsApp, and if they're not, responding to me, which they ignore me a lot, then I go do it on LinkedIn.
I don't blame them though.
I don't either.
It must be
I'm
hard
surprised
being
they
your
haven't
friend.
kicked me. Yes, I'm surprised I haven't been kicked out of these chats.
Okay, final question.
Nice.
What annoys you about other LinkedIn creators? Is there anything? In fact, I kind of want to change that question to who annoys you, but maybe that's too far. We might get you banned. So,
Yeah, that's true. Like when you
What
like
annoys you?
speak to someone deliberately, you get banned.
What annoys you about other LinkedIn creators? Is there any time you go on your newsfeed and you think, for fuck's sake, like this, like what is this?
Yes. Yeah, I unfollowed you last week.
Yeah. Right. This episode is not good. Right? Right. On a serious note, is like what do you
I'm being
hate seeing
serious,
on
I haven't
LinkedIn? I mean, I've unfollowed a lot of creators, so. But come on, what annoys you about the creators? Content, things you see on LinkedIn.
Lots of things. So the
Give me
big
some. Jesus Christ!
so
I'm trying my best here.
There's this guy that hosts a podcast, and he hosted this. Okay, no. So
Come on.
the biggest thing is when people change. I think when they change their message. So like I spend so much time on LinkedIn obsessively.
Yeah.
I know when someone changes their messaging, and it bugs me. And it's when people get big enough, they change what they say because it's harder when you grow a big audience. People notice you more. They hold you to your words, and it's harder to take the heat. So most people tap out and they share really generic content. So like that's the biggest thing that triggers me. Is when people change their messaging. I also hate burnout posts. They bother me because I think burnout is fake news. So all the burnout posts that I see bug me, especially because they work. And I think that bothers my analytical brain. Like I hate that this works in the algorithm. So there's certain posts that I see that work. The cheat sheets lately bother me because they pop off and they get like 50,000 likes.
Yeah.
And they just bug me, even though I do them.
Yeah, they also really pissed me off. I saw some yesterday, which it was a guy who shared like a cheat sheet, and he was like, everyone else is making all these mistakes, and this is how I grew my client or whoever from 0 to X amount of followers in such a short space of time. And like 2 weeks ago, the guy asked me to be in a pod.
Really?
Yeah, and so
That would piss me off too.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating because, again, he's selling services, this person, right?
Yes.
So if it was just like someone who runs a business trying to get more clients, cool. But if you work in the sector, ghostwriting, personal branding, and you sell results but don't tell people that you're in an engagement pod or you're buying that engagement, and then try to flog a course to people, that pisses me off.
I agree. I mean, it's smart. I wish I could do it, but
No, I just think it's dumb. But moving on.
I hate it, but I think it's smart. But we'll disagree on this. You know.
Okay. Ooh, good. Actually, I can't ask that question. You will get banned. Okay. Whistle stop tour.
Let me try and be mature.
I want to. You can't do that. We've seen.
No,
we've been
no,
here.
I can do it.
No, serious question though. You've done a lot of like jobs in the past before ghostwriting. What was your favorite one?
I love building homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why? What was so good about it?
Because every single day, at the end of the day, you'd see something changed. Whereas with LinkedIn ghostwriting, it's just, it's the same.
Do you not get bored? Like, it's quite repetitive, isn't it?
Very. I think honestly, I felt way more job satisfaction doing construction or being in ministry work that I did than ghostwriting. It's just the lifestyle's better. Like I like traveling, I like making money, and you don't make as much in construction or in ministry. So I'm very shallow.
So yeah. I was going to say you're very much driven by money, and
I mean, I say that, I'm joking, but I do think there's still an emptiness to it where it's like I'm using money to set myself up where I can hopefully find those answers again. So I think unfortunately or fortunately, we need money in this world to buy freedom, and freedom for me is number one. So that is my biggest, I guess, life plan, if I had one, is basically I'm buying freedom. So I'm putting in the time so that I can have the freedom to try and, now I can allow myself to think about these questions and take them off the shelf. Whereas right now they're on the shelf. Whereas earlier in my 20s, doing the ministry stuff, it was front and center. Like, this is what I believe in. I love getting up every day. I believe this. Now that I don't have the answers, I've gone I can't go here because it's too philosophical. It's too dark. So I'm just going to shelf it, make some money, and then go walk into the woods and disappear and figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like the no plan kind of lifestyle. That sounds cool. Tell me something that nobody would know about you.
Nobody.
Is there anything?
Wow, I've shared so much on the internet. Yes.
Anything you haven't shared?
Well, there's a few things. What kind of,
Anything you want.
Anything that I want. Wow. You know where my brain goes first? So I lived in, I traveled a lot. So when I was 21, I lived in Israel for 6 months on a kibbutz. So essentially it was you move abroad and they pay for your food and your lifestyle, and you do random jobs. And a lot of people from all over the world went, and it was really, really cool experience. So I'd never drank before I went to Israel. Grew up in, like I said, Christian home. So the first night that I was there, I decided to drink. And so I drank a full bottle of something called Eric, which was 60% alcohol. I drank 3 beers, 2 bottles of wine. And I ended up putting a dress on and singing on stage for about a half an hour. And then I woke up somewhere in the desert and I don't remember the night. So I've never told that story. So very deep, very meaningful.
That's a great story.
Yeah. And so I don't remember any
whether
of
that's true, but okay.
It's I crossed my mind. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I don't remember much from that whole 6 months, but it was great.
Yeah, you're quite an interesting guy.
I have moments, pockets, we'll call them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't last though, sorry. You'll have to edit this.
So early in the podcast, you said you don't believe in burnout. Why?
Yes.
You don't believe in burnout. That's quite a provocative thing to say. That's quite controversial. I feel like in today's age.
Do you think anyone actually believes that shit though? They just say it for the virality. They don't actually believe it. Do
you think burnout's not real?
Yeah.
What is it then? What are people referring to when?
See, I think what it is most people try to be something that they're not. And so people that burn out are trying to be something that they're not, and they're just not tough enough. So they should accept that they're weak and they don't have what it takes, and then they wouldn't burn out.
So it's a kind of a self-victimizing kind of narrative.
I think so, but in serious note, I do think it is a lack of self-awareness because like if I went and did a bunch of coaching, LinkedIn coaching, I would burn out because I suck at coaching and it really bothers me to do it at scale. So if I only did coaching for 8 hours a day, I would burn out by the way that it's described. So I think it's just people trying to be something that they're not, and they do it too long, or they have to do it, right? Like they have to do a job that they hate. And so they put a word to it that's burnout. I just think the word kind of gives you an excuse to tap out, and I don't like that. So when I hear it, I'm like, no, it's fake news. It's not real. It's just you're not self-aware enough to know, A, I hate my job and I have to do it anyways and accept it, or B, I have the choice to craft something that I want to do, so I don't need to burn out.
I think it's a really interesting point. I do semi-agree with what you say.
Semi.
I semi-agree with what you say.
Let's hear why you don't agree.
I think...
Tell me how you feel, Shoaib.
Not this.
Okay.
Not this.
Okay.
No, I will. So I think you're spot on with the self-awareness, because that was me a while back. Last year, I grew the business very quickly. Didn't really know what I was doing. Still don't really know what I'm doing, actually. But
I can help you if you want.
I was... Advice from you? No, thank you. Okay. No, but I went too fast, I think, too quickly, because I was trying to do what everybody else was doing on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh, I need to do this, and I need to take on X amount of clients, and I don't have time to hire a team, so I'm going to take it all on myself. But like you said, that's a complete lack of self-awareness.
Right.
But then equally, there's been times where I feel like in control, and suddenly it can happen quite quick. Maybe it's bad planning by me.
Maybe. So when you say it was like, were you burning out? Was it the feeling of like, I just have too much going on? I can't.
Originally, definitely it was that.
Yeah.
But then I think equally a lot of people burn out, or whatever word you want to use, when they not just focus on the business, but focus on every element of their life. I always think, you have your career, you have finances, health, fitness, relationships, social. I think it's almost impossible to optimize every single one of them.
Agreed.
So something's got to give either way. I think when people are trying to optimize every single component, that's when they burn out. Because I think burnout's often used as like synonymously with like failure, right? So my health's collapsed, my business has collapsed. I can't do something anymore because I'm burnt out.
See, I just think that's excuses, though.
Fair enough.
Because like, I think it logically makes sense why someone would burn out. I just think at the end of the day, it's still an excuse. Like, just fucking show up anyways. I don't care if you're burning out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
nice. On that note, the it factor on LinkedIn. You've spoken about this before.
Like, you're on this podcast. You don't want to be here with me, but you're still
No,
here.
I don't. Lara paid me to do it. She felt a lot of pity for you, actually.
I know. I knew that. I was trying to brainwash myself into not thinking about it.
I'm going to say something nice now.
It's too late. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
But like in like a like we're bantering. Like Don't worry.
I'm gonna 100% put that in the trailer. Just fuck you, and that's how it's gonna end.
Yeah. Please do. I'll get banned. I'll go into
my goal is to get you banned on LinkedIn.
No, you got me. I mean that's a badge you can wear for at least 2 months.
You'll be back. Unfortunately,
you'll be back.
Okay, so I'm gonna say something nice about you. It's the only nice thing I'll ever say about you. So embrace it. Feel the warmth run over your body.
I'm gonna like.
I think you 100% are somebody who has the it factor on LinkedIn. And just in general, like as somebody speak to, you have a lot of charisma. Don't know if anyone's told you that.
Yeah. I've told myself.
Some people can go on a platform, go on social media, try to brand themselves and fail. And no matter how much they use like the algorithm and the hacks and follow creators' advice and do a course and read a book, still can't seem to get results. Why do you think that is? As somebody who does it very successfully.
So I think in life, some people win and a lot of people lose. And I'm a winner eventually.
Okay.
Eventually. And I think most people lose. And most people don't have what it takes to win. And they just need to accept it and keep losing.
What does it take to win?
I think it takes... First of all, you have to believe that burnout is fake news. So, I mean, that eliminates... So
I'll be an eternal loser.
Yeah. It eliminates 50% of people, especially 70% of Gen Z. So, I mean, what can you do?
Nice.
Yeah. But no, seriously, I think that, like, the odds, like, if you do math, like, not everybody can be the leader of a company. Not everyone can make $1 million. Not everyone can have 1 million followers on a LinkedIn or an Instagram. It's just, it doesn't work that way. Like, you need people to like your post, comment on your post, and tell you how amazing you are, and you need somebody to on the receiving end of that, and that's just facts. That's just real, and no one wants to hear it. So if you want to be the best of the best of the best, you have to be obsessive to get there. And like you said, that means most likely you'll suck at relationships. Maybe your health isn't very good. Maybe you're not a very nice person, but you're fucking amazing at business. And most people are, I think, balanced, and they're not that way. So I just think it's math. Like,
I think also like everyone's definition of like being the best of the best varies as well. And so success for one person might look very different. And like you said, some people want to be leaders and are kind of almost like destined to be that based upon the work they put in, and others aren't. And that's neither one's right or wrong.
it's okay.
But yeah, I agree.
But it's self-acceptance, right? I think that's the biggest problem is that when you're comfortable with yourself, just be who you are. Like if you enjoy working a 9 to 5, for example, just do that and enjoy it. You don't have to feel bad about it. But I think that's where the problem comes with people is like we look at someone else and we're jealous of that, or we try and downplay it because, you know, we're not that. We just need to accept who we are. So
how do you do that on a practical level? Like, I think in the past I've been guilty of seeing other people's success and thinking, why am I not like at that level? Why am I not doing X, Y, Z? I'm putting probably way too much pressure on myself to do it. And now I kind of just don't give a fuck. Like,
that's great.
I know what I'm good at, and I'm more confident in saying it. Like, yeah, I'm shit hot at this. I can do this really well. We get these amazing results, blah, 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 whatever. But how have you found that? Because you seem very self-assured.
I think, again, it's just having failed enough. I think I've failed so many times at so many things and then come back from it. You know, like I think you need to like fail badly, like in front of a lot of people and miserably. You need to hurt a lot of people. You need to have a lot of scars. And then you realize like, I know what I'm shit at, you know, and I know what I'm good at because I come back from it, right? Like if you just play it safe and you're in the middle, I don't think you ever get that self-assurance because you never take enough risks to find out, do I have what it takes or not? And I think I have. I've always tested myself and figured out like, hey, I have what it takes in this area or I don't, because I'm willing to look like a complete jackass and often do, and it just doesn't bother me. But that's just because I've done it for so long that you're like, yeah, I know it's fine. Everyone will forget in a day, or I'll be fine tomorrow, and you just learn.
What have you failed at?
Well, I lost a race to 100,000 followers most recently on LinkedIn, which I love to bring up because I gaslit myself. I actually hate it. It still bothers me. When I was 18, I missed a penalty shot in football. I'd never missed one my whole career until that point. I had blown my ACL out, but it didn't matter. I still missed. I played the whole tournament on like one leg, but I missed. And it was the championship game, and I was supposed to go to college on a scholarship. And I didn't go because I blew my knee out and I missed. And that haunted me for years. So I failed at that. I'm not very good at relationships. I won't get into it all, but I failed at that because I'm a very selfish human. And, you know, you could go through the list. I would say even career-wise, like, I'm not where I want to be. You know, I think I should be more successful than I am right now, which is part of what drives me. You know, I see impressive people like you, like in your 20s, you're crushing it. For me in my 20s, it was a fucking joke. So you look at it and you go, yeah, I can look at that and go, for me, I gave my 20s to ministry, and to me now, it's like, well, why the fuck did I do that? I wasted so much time in this shit. And so I'm very hard on myself with those failures, but also that allows me to go like, yeah, well, whatever. I'm going to get it now.
You said you're not where you want to be yet. So where do you want to be?
Well, that's the problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like the knowing of like, I can do more than this in my life. And I think that's what drives me to take risks. It's like, I'm better than this. I'm better than a LinkedIn ghostwriter. I'm better than a construction worker. I'm better than a ministry person. And it's just that inner knowing, like most of my friends have tapped out. And my version of tapped out is they've settled for a life less than what they actually wanted when I knew them when we were going to school or doing things together, like, because we had the conversations, right? And most people get to a certain point in their journey and they go like, this is far enough. I'm just gonna take it easy. I'm just gonna let off, and then you never get it back. And for me, I can't do that. I know in my gut like this just isn't enough. I'm more than this.
Do you think you'll ever think this is enough?
No, and I've accepted that.
And you'll just keep going until, like, I mean, self-improvement is a continual thing, right? It never really ends. There's always something else that you can find.
It is, but it's also, I think, a mindset when you're like, when you are a high achiever or you're just driven by competition, you know, like I'll never be satisfied. Like until I get mugged in Bangladesh, I'm gonna keep evolving and keep growing, and that's just how it's gonna be, you know.
Nice.
And but like I think it's hard to accept that though,
Yeah.
because you go like I think I miss out on happiness because I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied. Like I hit 100,000 followers. To me, it was a joke. I didn't fucking care. I lost to Matt Barker. Who cares? Doesn't matter. I literally closed 2 deals that week. I didn't care. I'm still mad about it. Listen to me. I got angry here.
You say you're never happy, never satisfied.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes.
For
For example, at the end of this episode, I'll be like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. I could have done this. I could have been better here. Even if it goes well and I get the most views of any guest, which I will, it won't be enough for me. Be like, it should have been double that. It should have been triple that.
Is that not kind of like a form of like self-sabotage? Or on the other side, is it like a form of like elevating yourself constantly?
I think it's both. Yeah. I think it's like you say, like when you're a high achiever, you're flawed, right? I'm flawed. It's just accepting it.
I think what you said earlier is it was so like accurate, like the importance of just like taking risk and not knowing where you're going to end up. Because most people, I think, in our situation who are trying to build a business, like everyone I've spoken to, nobody has a like an end thing they're working towards, right? Everyone's just working for more, and nobody really knows what more is. But I guess it's
true.
a form of like the more in terms of the self, right? I want to be healthy, I want to be fitter, I want to be better a communicator, better in relationships, I want to earn more money, I want to travel the world. But I think so many people can get lost in that process. But I don't even think there's a solution to that. I'm not trying to like find a solution. I feel like that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I agree. I like those kind of people. I like hanging out with.
Yeah.
It's like you can be a little bit more comfortable. Like, oh, you're like me. You're fucked.
Yeah. Please don't hang out with me after this.
Yeah, we won't.
Yeah.
We'll just.
On that note, I've got a final question for you. Okay. Now, this is the moment where you're probably going to get banned off LinkedIn, but you know, that'll make the 1 billion people on LinkedIn a little bit happier. What is an unpopular opinion that you have, belief system, whatever you want to call it, that potentially one day could get you cancelled?
So most people watching this episode are never going to win at LinkedIn or life. Like most people that listen to this and hear, oh, that was kind of that was kind of cool. They said some edgy things. Like maybe I should take more risks. They never will. You know, most people won't win. Most people don't have what it takes to be in the top 1%. And I think people that realize who they are and accept that would be a lot happier than just being jealous of people that are at the top 1% and are great at what they do. But that's pretty unpopular. You know, if you don't want to tell people that, for example, on a LinkedIn or a social media, you get paid more money to tell people what they want to hear. Nobody wants to hear that you're a fucking loser and you're never going to win. But that's what I believe. It's it's very arrogant, unfortunately. But
on that note, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Luke.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been interesting. You're a decent guy.
Thanks. So are you?
Yeah. Well.